We on? Anyway, talking about pre-compensation. Pre-compensating for the damage that you will do. Because again, you're trying to counter the emotional problem. Alright, this is going to get really deep again with the water thing. The body being predominantly water. When we pre-compensate, say if you're going to smoke, or if you're going to drink, or if you're going to eat food, whatever drug you fancy, if you pre-compensate for something, because you know, again, with earth, you have to balance earth out with water. Those are the polar opposites of one another. With fire, you have to balance it out with air. So, what's up, player? I'm just doing a video.
Look at me interrupt the video.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about what we was talking about earlier as far as...
Karma just worked.
That was real life shit. That was real life karma.
Using that light bulb as a light.
Oh, yeah.
In this house.
That's her shit. That's her shit. Anyway, pre-compensation. So if you were to heavily hydrate before you went out for drinking, you would realize the effects of dehydration. Again, all substance abuse is pretty much just dehydration to a different degree. It all dehydrates the whole system, but something is targeted. Like if you smoke it, it'll be, of course, the lymphatic system, lungs, it's the whole system, skin, brain, all that. You know, if you're drinking, it's kidneys, bladder, liver. Of course, all that gets dehydrated because alcohol or sugar, same thing, just dehydrates. Sugar is pretty much alcohol. It's what it gets converted into. So that's why we build a high tolerance when we consume starch, because they're one and the same. And you need to compensate. For 1 part alcohol, you need 3 times the amount of water. So the amount of alcohol you drink, you need 3 times the amount of water to compensate for it to process the alcohol. So if you do pre-compensation, then you realize the damage you're doing. The more you pre-compensate, the more you realize that you can't continue on living that way. Because once you hydrate and you get to that state of being hydrated, it's very difficult to step down from that state. And then we got to realize the insanity that comes, or the dis-ease that comes from being dehydrated. Because that's really the #1 dis-ease, being dehydrated in different forms. Because if you, say you have an emotional problem that is stuck in your water, it might not even be from you. This is why I say that working out and sweating and just different ways of just getting to shift your water. That's why fasting, all these different things to cleanse your water. Because a lot of these things, if you're eating food when someone's arguing, those vibrations, because everything is vibration and water will hold on to it. And everything being predominantly water in this environment. All those things get into the food that you eat. That's why Russell Simmons came out with success through stillness. Because all these things are getting attached to, all these vibrations leave residue on each other, and then you put it inside of you, and you are what you eat. You're predominantly water. So when you go into a dehydrated state, because of the emotional state you're in, say you're frustrated, so you eat salty, crunchy foods, that dehydrates you in a different form. Now, the first thing with dehydration, just like with alcohol, the first thing that's impaired is judgment. It's the same thing. You become dehydrated from the sugar or the salt in any form, because they all need to be compensated. All of it. All natural salts and sugars are confined in the wrapping of the thing, whatever they are. So if you take on a bunch of sugars and salt, so even if you're eating fruit or things that have natural sodium in them, if you eat more than a fist size, because that is the size of your stomach, if you eat more than a fist size, then that would be too much. So that causes dehydration. That causes your body to pull the moisture from other parts of the body to compensate, just to process. So it can pull the moisture from eyes or anywhere. This fluctuates the temperature of the body. The pH of the body now is in flux, so now the temperament of the body is in flux. So now, again, the judgment is impaired because of this emotional state you are in, because you're frustrated. Now you're eating for reasons other than nourishment. You're chewing out of frustration. You want salt because you're salty out of frustration. You are void of love, so you want sugar to compensate for that. And these things all bring about different states of dehydration. And once we're in this state of dehydration, we no longer have the willpower that we would have had. Because the body is now dehydrated, it's not aligned with the will. Some people go their whole lives not aligned with their will. It really lets you know that certain people are here in certain incarnations to do certain things. And to be examples for each other. Because some have never even, they're not even familiar with their will. Some of you know that will, that voice, that true self that regulates there. So the more dehydrated you get, the more the body is really just running itself, and no longer the will isn't there to regulate, because it's in a dehydrated state. It's in a dis-ease state. So dehydration is the number one problem. This is what I mean by the water, and how water can severely affect our mind state, and how our gestation period in the womb, we just sit in water, or melanin pretty much. Amniotic fluid is pretty much melanin. We're in a melanin or carbon ocean right now that we call the sky. It's just less dense. It's all just different. It's just different levels of vibration, the different densities of vibration, but we're all in water pretty much. So the ripples that you create, again, like I said before, say you come into a womb, everything that was in that pool, because the body's mainly water, everything that was in that pool, you're coming into. And whatever she goes through in that 9 months emotionally, that has an influence on how you come out. And the collision for conception too. All that was, emotions can be related to water. The moon is going to be related to water. The moon's going to be related to the body and the temperament. So that is why, the moon is subconscious. Then you got your sun. So they balance each other out. So like what you got going on here with the gestation period and these collisions, you got to look at it like you're taking on all these things that were in the pool of your parents, or the conduits you came through. You say the people you agreed to come through, that agreed to take you on and to teach you how to be human, and you teach them knowledge of self. All right, follow me here. So now you get to this point where you don't even know yourself maybe for 20 years, because it took you 20 years to cleanse all the water that was not even yours, to get rid of goals and different things that weren't even yours. It might take you 20 years to fully cleanse. That's why, again, I say activity in these stages, to shed the water, just so you can get back to yourself. So you shed the water and you get back to zero, to balance. So once you get there, then you can start to decipher between self, soul, and body. And once you get to that point, then you can realize, like, even if your heart isn't here, all the knowledge itself is coming back to you when you need it. So say you're not doing what you should be doing as far as like your passions in life. Your heart will seek outlets in different lifetimes and create astral ripples that will come back through these people that you call strangers or family or friends or whatever. And because the heart will seek for an outlet regardless. And these things will come back in different forms. It may come back in pieces or whatever, but it might take you decades to fully incarnate into your body, for your heart to fully incarnate, for your soul, your total essence to fully incarnate. So you're already on, you're already there, you're already on your way. It's just about bringing, just bringing it all together, bringing the Trinity together, and having the patience to see it all happening and know it's all happening. And again, it's just about letting things go. It really got a lot to do with letting shit go, because everything you let go, if you send something out, you let it go, it's coming back already. You're holding on to it is preventing it from coming back. So, and then you're focusing on the lack of it, just further propels other things from coming in, because you're closed at that point, or you're closing, you're narrowing your focus, and your energy is all going to lack or the absence of something that you desire, instead of realizing that you already have everything. You already have everything.